staff and am part of their staff. I'm going to talk primarily tonight, I'm going to talk primarily tonight about radiation health issues. The entire nuclear fuel chain emits radionuclides from beginning to end, but I want to concentrate tonight on nuclear power reactors that emit radiation as a matter of course. They are allowed to do this legally, and they are allowed to do it because operationally they must. This does not require an accident. They release these, they release tritium, they release strontium-90, they release a lot of radionuclides, and it concerns people who live near nuclear power reactors. In Connecticut, in this area of Connecticut, we've got three of immediate concern, 3 reactors of immediate concern that affect you, but I would be worried about the reactors 100 miles out, 200 miles out, because this is a slow release of these radioactive materials and they are slowly poisoning the environment. So the health effects that I'm talking about tonight are concern for you and your communities. Radiation fundamentally tears at what makes us who we are, and that is our genetic structure, our genes, our DNA. There are a number of ways the cells in your body react to radiation insult, and they can either die, they can repair properly, they can repair improperly, which often leads to disease later on. And for about 10 or 15 years, I think it's a little too, yeah, there, okay. And for about 10 or 15 years, it's okay. Okay. And it's only been recently that we've seen additional effects other than the ones that the research scientists originally saw. The 2 additional effects I want to talk about, and I want to concentrate on these, are bystander effect and genomic instability. Genomic instability. Bystander effect, what happens is radiation will come in, hit a cell, and it won't necessarily affect the cell that it hits, but it'll affect a cell that it never hit to begin with. And this is something the radiation standards have not yet considered. It's as if, and I'm going to do the coffee cup analogy because Judy Friedman asked me to do the coffee cup analogy. It's as if I hold in my hand a scalding hot coffee cup, and it leaves a mark on my hand, but the mark that it leaves heals, there's no record of it, but somehow it ends up that Paul is injured by that. So he would be a cell, and I would be a cell, and what happens to one cell is transferred to another cell when the radiation actually never hit it. The second thing that can happen is genomic instability, where a radiation particle will come in, hit a cell, the cell will repair itself, it'll look absolutely fine, and then generations later, that cell will have a daughter cell that has a mutation pop up. So if we use the coffee cup analogy again, that would be as if I had a coffee cup scald my hand, I was able to repair it perfectly well, but generations after me, my daughter's daughter's daughter, for instance, would have a burn on her body that was a reaction to the original insult that I sustained. So that's the genomic instability cell analogy. Radiation exposure, we know pretty much, can result in cancers of the blood, solid cancers of the organs. Now we're finding out that it can also result in heart disease. But it is also unpredictably mutating our genes, and this is through the genomic instability process. It introduces instability into our genes that can result in diseases that were never heretofore associated with radiation exposure. Those diseases include, and I'm going to read them, they were listed off in the New Scientist, so I want to get them correct. Illnesses other than cancer, including, quote, developmental deficiencies in the fetus, hereditary disease, accelerated aging, and such non-specific effects as loss of immune competence. Children and the unborn are specifically susceptible. They're very susceptible to this because they're growing very fast, their cells are dividing very rapidly and in such abundance. And when your cell opens itself up for division like that, it becomes especially susceptible to any outside insult, such as a radiation, alpha, beta particle, whatever, coming through and hitting it. We have found childhood disease clusters around reprocessing facilities in Europe, around nuclear power facilities in both Europe and the United States, around the atomic bomb facilities in the US. And when Chernobyl exploded in 1986, we found subsequent to that Europe-wide increases in childhood leukemias. So these radiation health effects become not only a scientific and research issue, they become a moral issue, because this generation right now is deciding to unpredictably alter the generations that follow us, our children's 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 children. And what we have to ask ourselves is, are we willing to sustain an energy source that could be poisoning our future generations? Especially when we don't need to. I mean, there are alternatives to this energy source, and it is so very rare that doing the right thing is also doing the easy thing. And when I say easy, I mean easy for our conscience, easy for the environment, easy for our future generations. And so if it's easy for us, and we want these alternative energy sources and renewables and energy efficiency, then we have to fight for them. We have to say no more money for nuclear power. We want renewables and alternatives and energy efficiency, and we want them now.